welcome to the CraveCast. I am your host, Eric Mack, live from CNET's High Desert Bureau, the annual Geek Fest that was Comic-Con 2016. It's now over, but we're still digesting all the news and everything that we learned, whether it's the improbable revival of the Nickelodeon classic Double Dare, all things Star Trek Beyond, or the latest Pokemon developments. There is so much to rehash from the annual meeting of the United Nations of Nerds. A little later on in the show, we'll also get an update from the major political conventions going on in the U.S. this month, which strangely have some crossover with Comic-Con. But first, let's check in on our panel and introduce them, including those that made the pilgrimage to Comic-Con this year. Live in the CNET studio there, we have Kelsey Adams, Christine Kane, Jeff Sparkman, and behind the controls, as always, Stephen Beecham.
Howdy.
Also, still in the promised land of San Diego via Skype is Mike Sorrentino from CNET.
Hey,
how you guys doing?
Yay! Yay!
All right, thanks everyone for joining us today. And of course, we're live on live stream and on YouTube and on CNET. And if you want to join the conversation, you can jump in the chat rooms there or tweet at us at Crave. So to get started, Mike, you're still there in the promised land,
Yes.
and you got to get going first. Why don't you tell us your Comic-Con highlights to start things off?
Well, this was the first time I've worked at a Comic-Con. I've come the last few years. I've never had a pass before. I'd always go outside. Outside of the Comic-Con area, it basically becomes a free Disney World. This year alone, there was Gravitron that you could jump on, laser tag at Petco Park, I believe an Adult Swim themed green area. I didn't personally make it over to that last one. But in terms of inside the convention hall, there was so much going on in terms of movies and revivals. I spent a particularly large amount of time covering some of the Nickelodeon 90s nostalgia activities, which included the Legends of the Hidden Temple being revived as a television movie. And to promote it, they had a virtual reality experience where you put on a Samsung Gear VR, and Kirk Fogg, who is the host of that game show, is now the guide to the temple. And you go in to the temple and you meet Olmec. And Olmec is kind of scarier. He's a little more friendly on the game show. This time he's like, you must complete a puzzle or you'll be trapped here forever. Beyond that, there was also Nickelodeon did a 30th anniversary of their Double Dare game show, which was amazing. They brought back Mark Summers and had members of the All That cast compete against each other in Double Dare activities. And it felt just like the game show, which apparently ended in 1993.
Wow.
I didn't realize it
time
was
ago.
that far back that Family Double Dare had ended, I guess because of the reruns.
I totally want to play this.
All the sounds were all the same. They apparently did a couple press-only games before to warm up for the Facebook Live. And they did a full, I believe, about a 28-minute or so broadcast. And all of it, which is on point, all the lights, the sounds. It was crazy how it was just so weird. It was like everything that was original, everything that I would used to see when I was 9, but now it was it was being held in a nightclub, and everyone was drinking, and you had all these kid games being played by people now in their 20s, 30s, maybe even 40s. It was fantastic.
Am I crazy to recall recently, I think this was a Kickstarter or something, that there is like a documentary being made about Mark Summers' life? Did that come up at all?
It didn't come up. I'm not familiar with that, honestly, but I would really like to see it because he has such a cool career. I was sitting next to a friend of his who told me that he's a magician now. Maybe he's been a magician the whole time. I didn't know that till then. But between that and his history on Unwrapped, there is a video documentary I learned about over the weekend about the making of Double Dare. I think it's out on VHS, I believe, from like 1991, from a long time ago. But it went over how they filmed like the pilot of it way back when. But there was a lot of 90s coming back. Power Rangers, their reboot movie, comes out next year, and the cast of that were making appearances all over Comic-Con. I attended a panel that was held at Petco Park where the director, Dean Israelite, announced that they'll reimagine Alpha 5 in some way. who's the robot buddy that the Rangers had. Um, and it definitely seems like there's a theme where they want to appeal to people who were kids in the 90s but are now grown up, ideally with jobs and with money to then spend on toys and games that they used to have to bug their parents for.
It's like really like the perfect storm of 90s nostalgia lately with all of this stuff and Pokemon. It's almost too much to take. In fact, it was too much to take when I saw Scott Baio speak at the Republican National Convention. What he had to say was too much to take. But you also caught up with all the Star Trek news while you were there, right?
Oh yeah, Star Trek had a pretty big blowout. They had their, I believe it was the 50th anniversary panel. Someone correct me if I had the number wrong.
50th.
Thanks. They announced that CBS series that comes out in 2017 will be Star Trek Discovery. They showed off the ship, which I've been noticing commenters wondering if it's now going to be a prequel based on the design of the ship. I don't have enough familiarity, honestly, with the history of Star Trek and what the ship designations are. I just saw Star Trek Beyond last night.
I did hear that this is in the main universe, not the reboot universe.
Oh yeah, that's
right. The Prime universe, which I had learned from my colleague Rich, who was reporting that it was the universe that was the TV show before the movies broke out. Beyond that, all we still know is
there were a whole lot of movies before the reboot movies, but carry on.
The movies. Again, I'm not as familiar. So I'll be honest.
I'm a nerd. Carry on.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. That was a good, cool panel. I'd watched that panel remotely, and then our colleague went to. Rich was at a hotel panel with interviewing with the people themselves about it. Very curious to see how it comes out, since it's going to be releasing digitally on CBS first, and then on the All Access platform in the US and Netflix everywhere else.
So what did everyone else think about all the Star Trek news and any other Double Dare fans? Anyone else have any reactions to the stuff that Mike covered?
Oh yeah, I want to go on that Double Dare obstacle course for sure.
That needs to happen.
That looks super fun.
I hope it's annual. I mean, I know it was the 30th anniversary, but they got to do that again. It was too good. I think they got.
It looked like everyone there was just super excited, so hopefully they will bring it back.
So Christine, what was that like for you? I mean, you're kind of a different generation.
Well, I'll be quite honest. I think I actually missed that boat entirely. So I didn't. People seemed really, really excited about Double Dare, and I'm like, what is that? And I know I'm just laying out my ignorance here for everyone to see, but.
What about Power Rangers? Before or after?
I think I was a little bit too young for it. I mean, I remember watching some episodes, but I don't really remember anything because I was like 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something surreal.
Yeah.
I'm like discovering Power Rangers now because my kids are 4 and 2 and they just want Power Rangers, and I bought them like the big, the big character that puts all the dinosaurs together with the power, the dino chargers and everything. So I'm learning about it all now.
Stream all 20 years of it on Netflix and just have them watch it.
Yeah,
the whole thing.
That'll keep them quiet for like 2 days.
I mean, do we think we're reaching peak 90s right now? It feels just like an overwhelming amount. I mean, what is going on that this is happening right now?
I think
any theories?
I think
because those kids are now adults.
Yeah, exactly, and we have expendable income. We want to spend our money on something, and a lot of us have kids too, so we want to share those memories that we have with our kids. So it makes sense that that's all coming around right now.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, what for you personally, Mike, is the moment from this year that you tell friends first when you tell them about the trip? Is the Double Dare? What do you think?
It's going to be Double Dare because of the even just getting in was a triumph because it was strictly invite only. When we first asked, they politely weren't sure, but then the day before they let us in, and then they gave us really great seats right in the ring where everything was happening. To be able to watch Lori Beth Denberg and Josh Server, it was Danny Tamborelli and Kel Mitchell as well, running around together, competing in physical challenges. That's definitely for me the biggest highlight. But beyond that, it was cool to just see so many people, cosplayers and really diehard fans, run around. There were people waiting, I think, 3 hours to buy Star Wars figures. I went around by the Hasbro booth a few times to see if I could even get in line, and they were like, "Nope, the line's full." So I was like, "Nope." And I also I don't think at any point we really had a 3 hour luxury to go shopping, because it was just a busy week.
Okay, so I got to know about the Star Trek beer. Did you get a chance to taste that?
Yeah, it was great. It was this golden ale made by Schmaltz Brewing Company. And this is their second beer that they've made. The first one was a Vulcan-themed beer. And they had it on display. They also had it on draft at Comic-Con. It had if I said this already, excuse me. It was a golden ale with a sort of a light spice to it. And it was called The Trouble with Tribbles, based off of whichever episode involved the Tribbles in Star Trek.
Trouble with
That's
Tribbles.
the one. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
And no, it was definitely a really refreshing, and it came with a commemorative glass, which I have nowhere near me right now, unfortunately. And it was a nice sort of thing. I was talking with the owner, the company, about how they got the rights, and they have them for like a 3-year deal, I believe. So they'll have a new beer come January, around the time as the new TV show. So there's definitely be more Star Trek themed drinks to come. And hopefully maybe more franchises could have like drinks to come.
Well, actually, there are already plenty of. You can get Game of Thrones beer, Lord of the Rings beer. There's Klingon blood wine, apparently.
Klingon blood wine?
That's the thing.
Wow.
Yeah. I actually have a whole bunch of links if you're interested. I've been trying to get someone to do a roundup for a while. Yeah, no, this is a thing.
You can get totally drunk on whatever universe you choose. It's a beautiful thing, the craft brewing revolution.
But don't mix them. The hangover is terrible.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, it's beer before liquor, never sicker. Liquor after beer, have no fear. Right? That's the saying.
It's at a certain age, neither one works. But well, hey, Mike, I know you got to go. I think you're technically on vacation there in San Diego, but thanks for calling in and filling us in on everything Comic-Con this year.
Of course. Thanks for having me, guys. And I had such a great time working with everybody over there, and I'll be there in a few days, actually.
Yeah.
Awesome. Safe travels.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
See ya.
All right, Mike Sorrentino, ladies and gentlemen. So Christine, you were also on location in San Diego these past few days, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And it was my first Comic-Con ever, actually. Like, I hadn't been to San Diego Comic-Con or WonderCon before, so I had only read about it to sort of hone my expectations. And go ahead.
And well, I was just gonna say, you put together some really awesome cosplay galleries. What were some of your favorite sites from San Diego?
Well, I have to say that the Pokemon Go obviously has been like extremely prominent just everywhere, and so you kind of expected a lot of like last minute cosplays of Pokemon like at the con, and even just after the con ended, like each day, and attendees leaving and going into downtown, there were people like chanting their team names or just like freaking out like, oh my god, there's like whichever Pokemon here or whatever. And Jeff was there with me.
Oh yeah. They were
and
going nuts.
Like because downtown San Diego is clustered with various Pokestops and gyms, so you can sort of physically see the battles going on. Like people were congregating in groups and like physically just like trying to claim gyms and grab Pokemon and things like that. And it was and team rivalries were very apparent too. Like people were wearing T-shirts and jokingly throwing crap at like other people on opposing teams.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy, but expected. Yeah.
Not too many people walking into each other, walking into walls.
I think that was the
walking
case.
into Jeff.
I think that was the case anyway. Just
well, yeah, because there's so many people there, you can't not walk into people.
Yeah, it's sort of something you have to, in order to survive Comic-Con, you have to embrace, really, that you're just going to be constantly running into people anyway, whether you like it or not. But no other than people just clustering around bars and things, like at the con itself, people tended to be more concerned about making their way to panels that they really wanted to see, because lines are notoriously long for some of them, or just sitting down at some random spot and just charging their phones, probably because their phones were dying from playing Pokemon Go. So, yeah.
And it looks
mine
like
may or may not have died because of that.
I brought 2 portable chargers in anticipation for all of the Pokemon that I would catch. And the Pokemon in San Diego are very different than the Pokemon in San Francisco. Like, there are a lot more fire types, because Southern California is always on fire.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah, it's really weird. But kind of nice, though, hoping that they get trading up soon for the game, because you know, otherwise you'd have to like travel all over the world to get all of the Pokemon. So, yeah.
You know, I would think between like Pokemon, just like taking photos of other cosplayers, taking selfies, periscoping, doing Facebook Live, I would assume that like people are running through their batteries like crazy. Everyone always has a phone up. Is that pretty accurate? Like, you're either posing or you're taking a picture?
Yeah, it's very true. Like, sort of everyone you see on the floor is kind of glued to their device. And whenever they see a cosplayer that's really good, you start to see a group kind of forming a semicircle around them, waiting. Yeah, sort of forming a really informal line to take pictures with them or take pictures of them. And for me, like, because I had to photograph quite a few of them, I had to wait in many of those lines in order to get photos for our cosplay galleries. But it was a fun experience. I mean, the people who make their costumes tends to be really passionate, and usually really, really nice too. Like, I kind of was worried about like the infamous like cattiness or stubbornness, or just like being jerks in general about you know, like whenever you go to Comic-Con, but I didn't notice that to really be the case, except for maybe Saturday, when it was the most crowded, craziest, busiest day, and it results in people turning a little bit barbaric. But I think that's true for everyone. Even
the ones not dressed up like
even the ones
barbarians.
not dressed up. Yeah.
I saw a panel on cosplay at Silicon Valley Comic Con where they were saying that cosplay costumes that are meant to imitate movie costumes and TV costumes are often actually better made than the original props, because they're not meant for just brief filming. They have to be worn all day long at Comic-Con, which is extremely hot. And, you know, they're on their feet all day, and people are up close to them and, you know, poking at them. So they actually have to be tougher, better looking, better ventilated, everything than actual movie props.
Yeah, the stakes are quite high. You can't bring something flimsy to Comic-Con and expect to leave Comic-Con with that the thing you built.
Including your ego.
Yes, there's always going to be someone who complains about, like, oh, you're, like, this detail isn't right, or, like, you know, this character's hair is always tied in a ponytail or something like that. So.
I have on the internet literally seen a guy complaining that a woman was too short to be a Norse god, like a Norn giant. Okay, you know.
Not many of us are.
Right, so. That's literally not possible. But yeah.
So there's 9 million Harley Quinns, right?
There are so many Harleys.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of the Suicide Squad.
I was wondering also, though, is it possible that this is one aspect of this costume is you can be a really No, keep the Harleys up, for God's sake, man.
Oh, that's the last one. Oh yeah, you could wear very little clothing and keep cool.
It's instantly recognizable, but at the same time, I think you could go for like flat shoes and you would still look like a good Harley, which makes it very practical.
Yeah, it was, in terms of Comic-Con, it was a very good, forgiving choice, because it was hot as balls, and you know, it's just like a breathable shirt, like Henley shirt, and then booty shorts and fishnets. Like, it's good for warm weather. And I saw a ton of Suicide Squad Harleys, but very, very few like other variations
full
of
jester
Harley. Like,
outfit.
exactly, like the original Batman the Animated Series. Like, I think there's like one true rendition of that in the gallery I did, but And I talked to the cosplayer, and she said, like, "Oh, I'm doing everything indoors. It's too hot to go outside."
Oh, yeah.
And, the convention.
I was dying, and I'm, just wearing a t-shirt,
Yeah.
I mean, and pants.
So they're very well.
But yeah, it
hopefully
was
you
really,
would be.
really hot. Yeah. They said I had to.
Yeah.
At SVCC, they had a bunch of Deadpools, which is even worse than a
Yes.
full Harlequin.
I saw a good couple of Deadpools there,
Yeah, I mean, not
and the
that
Incredibles.
Yeah, there's
I saw
a full
the
Incredibles family.
Yeah, I'm like, wow,
Oh.
that's some dedication.
They
timing to plan the
Yeah.
kids out like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. But yeah, it was great. I mean, it made me wish I had dressed up because I do some casual costumes myself. I wouldn't say I'm a cosplayer, but it made me wish I had my full Batgirl costume or my Assassin's Creed costume or something like that, so I could show off a bit of my fandom too. But
Hey, wait, I got your Batman costume.
oh no,
Yeah.
it's not that good.
Let's now proceed to
that's pretty
dispel
good.
Christine's pretense that she's not an amazing costumer.
Oh my god. Yeah, if you scroll down, there's why am I telling you?
Yeah.
Anyway, there's more.
Just go through my Twitter real quick.
Oh my
Oh, wait, here you
God.
go. Yeah. Wonder Woman.
That's Wonder Woman, and I said I have a hover hand problem. Like, I do the thing that nerds do when they're super nervous around beautiful women. They don't touch them. They kind of just put their hands sort of around them.
I mean, that's one of the things
It was very.
people do.
Oh,
here
there
you go.
it
There's
is.
your
Yeah.
Batman costume.
Yeah, it was. And my version is Cassandra Cain, who is I know she's not that popular, but she's like a.
And
But
one thing
that's cool street cred at Comic-Con.
Oh.
You're like a very obscure,
Yeah.
And
supposedly.
one thing I love about the way you do costumes is you always put your posture into it. Like you really in that
Oh.
picture, you're really creating the character with the way you're standing. It's not just about I'm wearing
Thank
the
you.
costume.
Yeah, that's actually something I know, and I appreciate that. But it's something I'm still very much learning to do from my friends who are more hardcore cosplayers. But I noticed at Comic-Con when I asked for a photo, they'd usually say sure, and then immediately get into some sort of really really good practiced pose for their costumes. I mean, because they expect to be photographed, so they want to make sure that they look good, and that comes down to even things like making sure they get just the right pose down. And it was really amazing to see them in action.
So cool.
Yeah.
Jeff, did anyone recognize Sparkman? Were your fans there?
Well, no, I was keeping it on the down low. So, also I didn't actually go walking around the floor very much because I have issues with large groups of people. So naturally, I would go to Comic-Con because I'm smart. No, actually, I spent most of my time in Ballroom 20 checking out the panels. Ballroom 20, thankfully, is very nice, air conditioned. I appreciated that.
And you sent us a lot of articles. You reported on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually did actual work things while I was there. It wasn't all just for fun.
Tell us about it.
So I saw some panels, and so what I guess Wednesday I went to some of the pilot previews. I watched Riverdale, the Archie show, and Powerless, which is the first DC-based comedy, and those were pretty.
One
cool.
might say playing against type. So.
Yeah. It was just it's all the days are kind of blending together at this point.
Do either of those get your stamp of approval?
Oh,
Should
yeah,
we look
yeah.
forward to those? Or?
I was actually surprised because with Riverdale especially, I was a little skeptical because I grew up reading Archie comics, and I have certain expectations of them, and when I first read the description, how it's going to be this dark, kind of Twin Peaksy kind of thing, and I was like, well, because they have the Afterlife with Archie titles, and they've had in the 60s they did Archie's the Archie kids as actual superheroes and stuff like that. So it's not unheard of for them to do this huge genre shift. But
Have you said Archie versus Predator already?
Oh no, and they met the Punisher. They even teamed up with I think there was a Sharknado crossover recently, which I have not checked out yet. But I mean, how could I not like that, But the thing that threw me off the most initially before I watched it was the when they mentioned that like Archie was involved with Miss Grundy, and like it makes sense in the context of the show because Miss Grundy is young and very attractive. But I'm thinking of like the comic Miss Grundy. She's like white hair. Sometimes they drew her with like having one giant tooth in the front. So that was, it was a little bit of a change to get used to, but I kind of dug it. I mean, it seems like it could go like horrifically off the rails, but like in the awesomest way. So I mean, either way, I'm kind of down to watch it. And then Powerless, I really liked because I'm a fan of workplace comedies, and I've and I was said in what I wrote, as long as it's not a lot of like, oh, I understood that reference kind of stuff, like where, they throw out the comic references and stuff, as long as it's a comedy first and it just happens to take place in the DC universe, I think it should do fine. I did get to see it twice. And, people were laughing at all I mean, I still chuckled, and I had just seen it like a day or two prior, so those were cool. And then I saw the teaser trailer for the Luke Cage show.
Yeah, I want to know.
Holy crap, that looks awesome. The thing that I noticed the most about and if you watch the trailer, you see this, the way that he just beats the crap out of everybody, it is just like nonchalant ass kicking. It's like very fluid and graceful, and it looks really neat.
Yeah, they're trying to convey his invulnerability.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have to stress out about people shooting at him because he knows nothing's going to happen.
I like the Wu-Tang music.
Oh, yeah.
He's just beating everyone to death with a car door?
Yeah. Not stressed out.
Yeah.
I wonder if he goes thrift shopping because his clothes often have to get replaced.
Yeah. Actually, this is addressed in the original.
I'm just getting started.
That looks cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
first of all, I'd like to apologize for going actually in the comics without irony. Sorry about that. But I also wanted to express a little dubiousness here. I mean, I liked him in Jessica Jones, but the character he's playing definitely seems very like sweet and innocent. Like the only part where I didn't feel like he was doing a good job was when he was supposed to suddenly be angry and threatening.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like his individual show here is trying to be more like angry and threatening. So I'm just wondering if he can pull it off. What do you think, Jeff?
I think so.
Okay. But I mean, you actually saw them, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there wasn't like one specific thing that just like sold it to me. It was just kind of like the overall, like how everything meshes together. They showed a couple of scenes there, and there was like some really great framing of the shot. And usually I'm like, I don't notice things like that, but it just looked cool, man.
kind of like that hallway fight in Daredevil.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, that was awesome. In one take too.
Yeah,
supposedly.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's a Netflix joint, the
Yes.
Luke Cage one, huh?
Yeah.
That should be cool. I'm intrigued, actually. I didn't stick with Jessica Jones, but I don't know. I'm intrigued.
They also showed a little teeny teaser for Iron Fist.
And what the the big fluffy beard? Who would ever associate that with Iron Fist? What's going on there?
I don't know, man.
Sorry,
Maybe they'll shave it. I don't know.
it's weird.
There wasn't like a whole lot in the clip, so I mean, it could have been like before or whatever. And then an even briefer Defenders trailer.
I'm psyched for it though.
I like the logo, and I like the music that they used in it. And
Do you have that one, Steven?
No, I don't. That's one I don't have.
yeah, I don't know
Sorry.
if they release that one later.
There was so much stuff that came out, so much stuff that was released. I mean, we can't get to it all, but any other favorites that we haven't talked about yet?
I really like the Flash panel because it's like, one of my favorite shows right now, and all the DC show panels, actually, I was really struck by how well the cast seems to get along. Like, not like we're here to promote our show, let's look like we like each other kind of way, but it like genuine camaraderie.
When I watched that Foley panel, the Flash cast just seemed so like they were having so much fun.
Oh yeah. I mean, like in the Flash panel, Jesse L. Martin and Grant Gustin were like tap dancing, a little brief competition there, and
we're all waiting for that all musical episode.
Oh, hell yeah,
it's gonna happen.
Yeah, and then in the Arrow panel, even though I have not watched Arrow very much, I was still interested because of the enthusiasm they had about it. They also ended the Arrow panel by singing a song from Hamilton, and then they wanted You'll Be Back, which I'm not going to sing.
So, speaking of dancing superheroes, one of my favorite parts of Comic-Con was actually the cosplay masquerade.
Oh,
because,
yeah.
What's up?
I can't wait for this. Go on.
Okay, so it was basically a fashion show / talent show with 35 contestants showing off their various cosplays. And the intermission actually was one of my favorite parts because it involved a dance crew called Core, I believe. And it just showcased, they were all dressed as X-Men and dancing.
Yes.
It was so perfect. Yeah. Oh man, like just seeing Wolverine. Right? Yeah, I'm just gonna watch it again because it's so mesmerizing.
I'm just gonna say that right there was the most fun Cyclops has ever had in any incarnation in his entire life.
Same goes for Wolverine, I think.
Wolverine needs to grow a beard.
Oh yeah, he. I don't know. It's more aerodynamic without the beard. But yeah, it was so fun. And the one other thing that happened that I didn't really expect was a marriage proposal happened on stage. One of the contestants, or rather two of them, were in the middle of a Kylo Ren and Rey battle skit, and as Rey like knocked Kylo down with the Force, like he got down on one knee, and maybe I'm just bitter, but I was like, I know what this guy's going through. Like, and sure enough, he pulled out a ring, and
knockdown leads to kneeling leads to proposing, proposing leads to...
Yeah, and I just joked with Tanya, who was my colleague who was there with me at the time, that this is actually very much following the Star Wars tradition of being incestuous, assuming that Rey actually is
related in some
is
way,
related. Yeah, if they really are cousins,
A lot of people commented that on that tweet, and someone also included the video, but I guess we already looked at the pictures.
Yeah, so. It's fine. I mean, it's pretty much what you'd expect.
It's what you'd expect.
Yeah. But yeah, it was very eventful, and it was crazy to see like the fun skits that people came up with and stuff. It was really good.
I actually have a question for you guys. So I followed the live blog for Marvel's big presentation in Hall H, and with a couple exceptions, like they had a big skit for Guardians of the Galaxy, apparently, where Ravagers burst in, and there's dancing and a lot of jokes. And there was a kind of mockumentary of Thor's private life in between the movies, where he was doing all these mundane things, which they don't appear to have released. We were kind of expecting them to do that.
Yeah, Marvel hasn't really released.
I guess it's a DVD extra. But for everything else, it just seemed to go by so fast. I mean,
yes.
Okay, here's this star, here's this star, here's this star. We're very happy about this movie. Next. And was it really like that when you're there? It's hard to see how it could be worth flying all those famous people out.
Well, I didn't have like 3 days to wait in line, so I didn't actually attend any of the Hall H stuff. But in all the stuff in like Ballroom 20 and the other room that looks like an eye chart for the name, I can't remember which one it was. 27 BCD. Anyway,
some small room.
No, it wasn't small. I thought
Really?
it was small based on the name. But no, that was the one where I was like out in the heat waiting in line, and I was gonna complain about being hot, but then I'm like, well, okay, there's Jon Snow in armor there. I can't really complain.
Oh yeah, there was a Jon Snow cosplayer who really looked like Kit Harington. I wish I got a photo, but he was going the other way. But
Aw.
But you know what he looks like from the back.
Yeah, well, like I saw him and he was crossing, and I tried to get his attention, but there were so many people, and someone yelled, "The King of the North!" and he just looked confused for a second and said, "I know nothing," and it was that. That was that. But my only celebrity experience at Comic-Con was actually Gal Gadot coming to the Wonder Woman 75th anniversary panel, and she actually spent like pretty much all the panel there. She came a little bit late because it was supposed to be like the surprise reveal. But yeah, she seemed really nice, and she gave her insights on filming the new Wonder Woman movie. And just like, I mean, little things like, oh, we had to like film, 6 days a week for 6 months in like freezing cold conditions, and I wasn't wearing very much, and it was kind of uncomfortable, but we did it anyway. And yeah, it made me kind of excited for Wonder Woman. I mean, I really did not like Man of Steel, so I avoided, Batman v Superman. But I'm like cautiously excited for Wonder Woman. I think it could be good.
The trailer kind of looked to me like something I would watch on Netflix, which is a big step up from Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
And I might actually go to Justice League in the theaters. I kind of liked that trailer.
Yeah, I dug that. The Wonder Woman one looked really neat.
Yeah.
Like, because you guys know what I thought of Batman versus Superman. I was slightly less than excited about it.
Well, I think what we all thought.
Well,
but more
some
so.
people like it, and that's cool. I just was one of the ones who didn't.
Sure, it's very popular in the Affleck household.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm reserving my judgment. I will give Wonder Woman a chance, but I'm not as hyped about it as people at the panel seem to be. So
I think I have finally come to accept the fact that they're not doing the original Wonder Woman. This is the modern character. It's completely different. She's a fighter. It's more Xena. It's just going to be
even
different.
her
I just need to accept
outfit looks
that.
like Xena.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons why I might be okay with watching the movie, because I'm very much into Greek mythology. And, like her mother, for instance, like Queen Hippolyta and, General Antigone. I think that's how you pronounce it. Like they're actually based off of like Greek mythological figures, and that might be one reason why I'm okay with kind of giving it a chance.
I mean, they'll have to change some things because her old enemy was Ares War, and now she's a warrior, so she works for him. So how does that work? But yeah, no, this is what they've been doing with Wonder Woman for some time now. Jeff keeps explaining that to me, and I have finally accepted that we've moved on and things are different. So, plus I like Chris Pine. I'll give it a chance.
Fair enough. Well, I want to force a really rough connection to what I was doing last week, which actually, Stephen, if you look at the very bottom of the Google Doc, I just put in 2 links, one to a video and one to an Instagram post. If we can throw up the video. I was in Cleveland while everyone was getting ready to go to Comic-Con for the Republican National Convention here in the U.S. I went to cover how social media was going to cover the convention, but interestingly, while I was there, found that there was an odd comic connection to what was going on at the RNC in Cleveland. And I don't know if you got the video there, Stephen, but we came across these 2 guys who were in town from New York, a pair of brothers. And this guy was walking around with a huge iPad Pro sized tablet and just sketching on the tablet caricatures of people he ran into in Cleveland, in comic book style. He's a comic book artist. And while he was doing that, his brother was filming him, and they called the whole thing glogging. Do you have that video, Stephen?
Yeah, I'm trying to load it right now.
Let's say you're going out for dinner.
It's playing a commercial.
Pretty interesting.
Hang on a second.
You find the best way to get there?
It's going to take a minute. It's playing a 30-second commercial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Half a minute.
So, these 2 brothers, they have the digital caricatures going on, and then the other brother is a video artist, and so he's videotaping the entire encounter, of these people being caricatured and kind of getting a little bit more of a flavor of who they are, and then the entire thing, the videos and the caricatures and the graphics and everything all end up on their glog, and so that's what we were talking about on the streets of Cleveland.
Cool,
everyone,
I got it right here.
from Snapchatters and vloggers to bloggers and gloggers. Yes, gloggers. That's actually not a word I made up, but these guys have made up their own style of glogging.
What we're doing basically is, if blogging is traditional media, digital media, and say, for instance, vlogging is when you're incorporating video in digital media, glogging is when you're incorporating graphics in digital media.
Glogging, I like it.
Glog, yes, glog, we're gloggers. Vloggers and we're glogging. That's right. And we run a glog.
I know what you're thinking, and yes, they're twins. Twin gloggers. Basically, Jim and Tim Fielder have been walking around Cleveland, and Tim draws digital portraits of people in town for the RNC right there on his big tablet. And while he's doing that, his brother Jim is filming Tim drawing the people, and then all that, the drawings, maybe some video and some text, all end up on the brothers' glog, which is at dieselfunk.com.
1, 2, 3,
Glogging.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's super cool. Oh, sorry.
Interested, and they were there with Comics Cast, sent some comics to the RNC, and so I also ran into one of the guys that they caricatured there, the guy Vish, who had the sick turban on. I actually ran into him a few times later, and that's the Instagram photo. Do you have that there? We did a Periscope live with him, actually from 4th Street in Cleveland. But my photographer I was with got that really cool Instagram photo of him. So it was interesting. There was this kind of bizarre comic book connection while Comic-Con was going on. There was a little flavor of it even in Cleveland at the RNC.
That's awesome.
I remember reading about a guy who did this last year too. I wonder if it's the same guy. First name starts with Fish.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. These are like all New York comic book artists who were making the pilgrimage. Super cool guys.
Was there as much cosplay there?
Oh, I bet.
Because I know there's the one guy there who looks kind of like an Oompa Loompa, but I don't know if he's actually cosplaying. But I was just kind of curious.
What about Pokemon?
It's a lot of Uncle Sam cosplaying.
there were a few Uncle Sams running around, and there were a lot of the activists and protesters had some interesting costumes. People in the convention, the delegates, even had interesting costumes. Not on the scale of Comic-Con, and not anything I can really comment on. But more than anything, there were just 5,000 police there, who were all totally cool. They had a ton of bike cops there, which I think was a much less intimidating presence.
It is.
And it was interesting. Everyone got along great. I had kind of gone assuming that there might be some violence or protests breaking out, but honestly, by the end of Thursday, I witnessed a guy there from the group Truckers for Trump playing ping pong against a guy from the Black Lives Matter movement. So it was pretty kumbaya.
Nice.
Cool.
So I think that's about all the time we have. Any final thoughts on Comic-Con 2016?
I want to sleep now.
Which is what Tanya's doing.
Yeah.
I slept until 2 p.m. yesterday, which is very unlike me. It was just a lot of early mornings and really late nights of just constant working. Because the team we had was rather small, and it's such a big event, so it was impossible to cover everything, but we really tried, and that definitely cut into our sleep by a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like CES without the endless tables of iPhone cases.
Yeah,
that seems fair.
Instead of that, I think it was like tons of like artists selling their work, which was a nice place to get gifts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's much more exciting than endless booths of iPhone cases. I'll take that any day.
Oh yeah, me too.
Especially because I own an Android.
All right. Well, on that note, I think that does it for the CraveCast for this month. Thanks everybody for making the pilgrimage down to San Diego and then back to tell us about it. And we'll be definitely looking forward to some of these things hitting Netflix, hitting movie theaters, hitting the airwaves and the cable waves, if there are such a thing. And we'll definitely be talking about them on a future episode of the CraveCast. So for Mike Sorrentino, Christine Kane, Kelsey Adams, Stephen Beecham, and Jeff Sparkman, I'm Eric Mack. See you next time. Thank you.